Hi everyone, my name is Natasha and welcome to Cold. I like to call it the intentional place because here I like to talk about how to take on life more intentionally, from time management to productivity to everything purposeful living, and basically to empower myself and you too so that together we can be our best version. Today I want to talk about purpose, and that's a word or a question that when people ask what is your purpose, it can get you into a certain mood because maybe you just don't know yet. Well, at least for me, when people ask me that question or when I have been asked that question, I'm just like, I really don't know yet, and I think that's kind of okay, and I'm gonna explain why, so keep on watching. I'm also gonna give a review of this book by Liz Forkin Bohannon, if I'm saying that correctly, that I recently read, and she talks about a life of purpose. So this is the book that I'm going to give a review of. So before we get into the book review, let me explain what I have come to understand about purpose. Right, so I would like to believe that everyone, no matter what your beliefs are, no matter if you're a Christian or not, we all have a sense of living a purposeful life. And I think that society, or we ourselves, have made purpose to seem like it has something to do with doing something grand. Okay, basically we put it this way: if you're not doing something big, then you're not living your purpose. Or if you're not doing something, some kind of philanthropic work, then you aren't living your purpose. And definitely looking out for the welfare of others or achieving something big, it's wonderful. But is it really where it starts and stops when it comes to purpose? Let me try break it down first by looking at the definition of purpose. So purpose is defined as the reason for which something is done or created, or the reason for something to exist. So every single thing, from us humans to animals to plants to insects, in as much as we don't like certain bugs and insects, there's a reason why they are there. There's a function that they have, there's a purpose. And if everything created has a purpose, how then do you figure out what your purpose is? Now, while I'm still building up to my point on how do you know, or how do you stop toiling about what your purpose is, I'm going to touch on something that you have probably heard before. And this is that humans, for example, create incredible things, from the cars that you have, your phones, and all other gadgets. And for you to understand what each component in that gadget is made for, or how to use it, these things all come with some kind of manual. So that when you buy it, you then know what it's used for or how to use it. So for us, then where do we get our manual, so that as an individual you can then understand why you're breathing? If you're human, I keep saying human, but if you're human and you believe in God and that God created all things, which he did, no argument about that to all those Big Bang Theory believers, but yeah, he did. So then you would know that your manual is in the Word, it's in the Bible. Okay, so if we're looking at the Word and we're looking at the Bible, in the Word you get to understand that you are created to worship God. Isaiah 43 verse 21 says that the people that I formed, the people that God created for himself, will make known his praise. And if you watch my previous video where I talk about my time management routine, I mentioned something that the late Miles Monroe said, that we are created to be managers of the earth. And he got this from basically Genesis 1 verse 26, where it says that God made man to have dominion over the fish, over the sea, over the birds of the heavens, over the livestock, and etc. So basically, God made man after he created the earth and the heavens. He made man so that man can then, manage what's on the earth. And then the Bible also says that we are created to bear fruit. If you look at Genesis 1, verse 28, it also talks about being fruitful and multiply. God basically instructs us to be fruitful and to multiply. If you look at John 15, verse 16, it also says that you should go and bear fruit. So that's another verse that's giving us instructions to basically bear fruit. Another instruction that we get in the Bible is that we are to train people, we are to make disciples. Basically, we are all either being discipled or we are discipling someone. But question would be, what are you discipling whoever you're discipling? What are you discipling them towards? Okay, so if we look at Matthew 28, verse 19, it says that we should therefore go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and the Son and of the Holy Spirit, teaching them to observe all that I commanded. So yeah, basically we're supposed to train or make disciples, teaching them of all that Jesus had commanded. And then lastly, the Bible instructs us that we are to glorify God in all that we do. 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 19, it says that, do you know that your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit? So glorify God in your body. And then if you look at 1 Corinthians again, chapter 10, it says that, so whether you eat or drink or whatever you do all of it to glorify God. In short, you do have purpose. You are living a purposeful life. If you are glorifying God, if you're being fruitful, and if you're applying all of this in your everyday life with all the people that you interact with. Even with all that I've just said, you might still be thinking, okay, I worship God, I glorify Him in everything that I do, I strive to be fruitful, but still, what specific thing do I have, or what specific thing am I supposed to accomplish on this earth? And yes, I think that it's alright that we search deeper for an answer to this, because in us, I think in all of us, there are talents, there are gifts, there are dreams that should be manifested. Okay, so what I've done is I have simplified this question by being practical about it. Okay, what you need to do, what I've also done, and what I've learned to do is ask yourself, what are the things that you are interested in? What things are you? Ask yourself, what things are you interested in? And once you have a list of those things, then don't sit on your interests or your ideas. Actually explore them and act on them. And then by doing, you'll end up finding your footing. Even if you look at stories of people in the Bible, most of them, if not all of them, from Abraham to Moses to David to Paul, etc., they figured out their purpose along their journey. Or even if you want to pick people in our century, find someone in our century, look into their story, and you will see that they figured out what their purpose was along their journey of life. Even more, when you consult God in all you do, you will then be able to figure out what exactly you're supposed to be doing in regards to what you want to accomplish when it comes to your talents and your gifts and your dreams. But I will still put emphasis that your purpose doesn't necessarily have to be something so grand. As the Bible tells us in the story of the talents that we all have, it shows us that we all have different talents, we all have different amounts of talents. Okay, so this finally leads me to the review of this book. Okay, so this book, it's basically a look into Liz's journey, her journey of figuring things out, and how she basically built purpose, starting a fashion brand while helping fund for Ugandan girls to go to school. So she explains the steps that you need to take to build purpose, and not find it, okay? I love how she explains that purpose is built over time, okay? It's not about, most of the time we're trying to find our purpose. So she explains that it's built over time and it's made by your doing. Remember I said that if you're trying to figure out what you are meant to accomplish on this earth, what your purpose is in regards to your talents and dreams, then you need to ask yourself, what are you interested in? And then once you figure out the things that you're interested in, then you start taking action, okay, working on those interests, and sooner or later you figure out of those interests which one then leads to your specific purpose, which one leads to something that you are more passionate about, or something that you can actually see the fruits in. So in this book she basically explains how she believes that purpose is not necessarily found, but it's built over time. Because when we say we want to find purpose, we are putting pressure on ourselves, and then it also creates anxiety, because in order to find something, you need to actually know what you're looking for. That's how she puts it across. And usually we actually don't know. Like I said before, when people, if you're the same as me, when people ask what's your purpose, sometimes we just don't know, right? The other thing that I loved about this book is she explains that you should own your average, right? So I don't want to give too much, but in short, I'm just going to quote some of the things she said regarding to owning your average. Okay, she says that you do not need to try to convince yourself that you are above average, or shrink yourself because you are below average. She also goes on to explain that being average doesn't mean that you cannot live an extraordinary life. And being average is not a call for complacency, but it's owning your average so that you are protecting your energy and so that you stop comparing. So yeah, that's what I loved, and those are just some of the quotes from the book. And I want to stop there because I don't want to give out too much. I don't want to give the whole book away. But what I'll say is I definitely did love this book. There were some very practical things that she mentioned, practical steps that you can take in order for you to build your purpose. The first 4 chapters for me, I think, were the juiciest. And it's not like the rest of the book or the rest of the chapters are boring. It's practical things. She's telling her story. It's engaging. Her story is actually very engaging. But I appreciate that the first chapters were the juiciest, because if you look at most books, okay, not most books, some books, they go round and round and round, and only to get to the nice bits at the end. So I actually appreciate that the first chapters were really juicy. Well, that's in my opinion. Anyway, I would give this book out of 5. I would give it a 4 out of 5. And if you check other ratings online, so for example on Barnes & Noble, it has a 4.8 out of 5, and on Goodreads it has a 4.6. So yeah, I would say that it's a good read if you are a person that is also trying to figure out this whole purpose thing. I hope the points that I've mentioned above are helpful, and you can also read. Get this book and you can read it for yourself, and yeah, enjoy it, because I definitely enjoyed it. Anyway, thank you so much for being here and watching this video. Let's chat in the comment box that is below. Anything that's regarding purpose, basically let's chat if you have anything that you want to chat about. Do subscribe if you haven't subscribed to this channel, and share it with somebody, and as I said, together we can go on this journey of being more intentional with life and just being purposeful. Thank you so much. Bye.